be real interesting to see exactly what we do. And just as we get ready to warm up, Misha, what are you hoping to see from Uncle today?
Well, I'm always partial to the bomb intros, if anyone knows me. So looking forward to seeing that. Beyond that, though, I think bow starts tend to be really interesting, not necessarily for escape, but just early routing choices.
I tend to agree. Jan might be having some issues over here.
Yeah, it's save and quit there. Not sure what happened, but I'll put Jan just slightly behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Fouton does end up finding our weapon, and it's going to be the Cane of Samaria, which is not the world's best weapon. It's efficient on your magic uses, but it just makes it a little bit difficult to farm up the bombs necessary to get through escape.
Yeah, we'll see how much farming our runners decide to do. Green guards take 2 hits with the Cane of Samaria. But Cane of Samaria does lead to some interesting strategies as well. It also means we won't have to be looking for it later on if Misery Mire or Turtle Rock is required.
This is true. It's one of those nice strategies. If the cane is something you're looking for go mode, it's nice to have it relatively early. So don't count. I mean, it would be great and entertaining, I think, if neither Turtle Rock or Misery Mire ends up being required, but that's just the troll in me.
I'll say from personal experience, I definitely seen a lot of pendants. When you get the cane, pendant Mire, pendant TR. It looks like we might be having some technical difficulties on Jan's side.
Yeah, that's absolutely not good for Jan, because once the race is started, even if it's just at this beginning, nothing can really stop it. So this is going to have to be a third start right off the bat for Jan. Not a great way to start the race. And it looks like there's some layering issues that are going on with controls and palette swaps. And it's not raining right now. I don't know what that means for Janthegun.
There it is. Yeah, definitely indicating there were some layering issues happening there.
Oh, and Fouton throws one bottle, misses it actually, so he's gonna. Oh wait, that's 2. Okay.
Yeah, he did get I think the first pot was thrown onto the ball and chain guard. Gets the blue mail in Zelda Cell. It's a nice early safety item there.
All right, so Fouton making his way through will be a little bit slower than what you'd like to see in Escape, but when you have a weapon like the cane, which doesn't do a ton of damage, it seems perfectly reasonable to get hit right about 4 minutes, a little after 4 minutes, getting back to the first floor.
Yeah, this is right about where you want to be time-wise. He is going to most likely take some time to do some farming. Doesn't look like the green guards have bombs in their prize packs, unfortunately, so we're going to have to head to the sewers and see if the ropes, bats, or rats have what we're looking for.
I think we gotta hope that it's the rats and bats at this point, because there is, it looks like the green and blue guards haven't had anything in their prize package, but we have all the rats in the world and quite a bit of magic at this point in time. So let's hope it's going to be here.
Right, because the last thing our runners want to see happening here is not getting a bomb, and then the longer things go without you finding those gloves, the more likely it is that you're going to have to come back. But Fouton dodges the bullet, finds a bomb from the rope.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup there. It's just one bomb, so Fouton will at least would like to pick up some more bombs in order to be able to get through the rest of Kakariko, but at least it's not as high of a priority as before.
Fouton electing to throw the Samaria block into the upper corner where the rat is.
And Janthegun actually does end up getting a bomb from the Green Guard prize pack there, so we'll be safe to go through the rest of this escape without farming up, if he so desires. Fouton finds the hook shot and the fire rod in the back of escape. That would have been absolutely horrible if you had to go through without getting those.
Absolutely, wow. Back of escape paying off. So yeah, it looks like the Green Guards did have bombs in their prize pack. Maybe, lower down the list, because there is a rarity aspect to those prize packs. But nice for our runners not to have to worry about that and to be able to get those 2 items early.
And a heart container, not necessarily the sanctuary heart, but so French vanilla heart.
Close enough. We'll see where Fouton decides to go. Looks like he might be heading north. I think without any bombs, this is I do like this play, just to see if the tree pole has bombs for you, if the bush crab has any.
Absolutely. The more opportunities you have to get bombs. I like the idea of changing the routing, whether or not you're going to check what's on Lumberjack Ledge based on how many bombs you leave escape with. That's actually relatively smart because you can kind of route things in together.
Couldn't tell if that was rupees or arrows, but definitely not something we're going to be worrying about too much.
Absolutely not. It does happen to look like we have three crystals in the light world, none of the important ones from what I could tell, but so Dark World's going to be loaded with all of our either absolutely required or absolutely not required dungeons.
Yeah, which normally you'd be happy about with that early Cane of Samaria. If Meyer or T-Rock are pinned in dungeons, it could get a little scary for our runners later on.
Might be. Yeah, I mean, and there's Quake Medallion as well. Uh-oh.
Well, we don't know if Quake is required yet, but yeah, anytime you get those early items, it can definitely stick in your mind. The seed is giving me this for a reason, probably.
And Fouton does get the tier 2 tree pull, which is an 8-pack of bombs times 4. So all the bombs you could possibly want in that tier 2 tree pull, that means Fouton will be able to route CAC a little bit more efficiently than what he originally was planning on doing.
Yeah, that is a fantastic find right before getting into Kakariko. And Fouton didn't even have enough rupees to go buy bombs, so this will make things a lot more efficient. We'll see if Janthegun is going to do that tier 2 tree pull once he heads through the Lost Woods or Lumberjack area.
Yeah, you saw Fouton explicitly trying to kill more enemies to get to that tier 2 tree pull at that point in time. It's something that you have to be kind of consciously aware of and set up ahead of time. If Janthegun isn't aware of that, then it could be kind of put Jan even further behind. Fouton finding all the rupees in Blind's basement, though. And I mean all the rupees.
Yeah, no bombs, though, so that means if Janthegun doesn't find bombs here, you'll have to go straight. I'd go straight to either farm bombs in the lower left-hand corner of Kakariko, or wait till he has enough rupees to go buy them. Now, I've seen some runners gamble and go into Blind's hut and Kakariko well without any bombs, hoping they find some in the chests. We'll see if Janthegun elects to do that.
Fouton does find our first piece of the puzzle for Dark World access, the Power Glove, and then another 300 rupee cash. My gosh, these guys are not going to have to worry about rupees for the rest of the run after this Kakariko.
I mean, after this, they have enough rupees to do pretty much everything the game requires.
Everything the game requires, and buy a handful of potions if they so need. My goodness.
It looks like Janthegun's not going to be trying to get that tier 2 prize pool, tree pull. Another 300 rupees in the chicken hut.
I think that's 3 or 4 of the 300 rupee drops. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many there are, but I think we're about out of the 300 rupee drops.
So I imagine, given the items found so far, unless something crazy is at the race game, I'm going to be heading to South Shore most likely.
So here's the interesting thing. Janthegun didn't have enough rupees to go ahead and buy bombs, decides to drop down into the well, and unless you had the bomb, you didn't get the big 300. So it just is sitting at 94. Does have enough now to go purchase bombs, but will be inundated with money here directly.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder if you're looking for ways to save time, especially early game, learning those tree pulls they can save you some time here. And you look at the efficient routing that Fouton was able to do here in Kakariko. Janthegun's going to have to do this kind of backwards.
A little bit. Might be slightly frustrated with how much money he ends up finding, because he could not just go and do the bombs immediately. He had to farm up rupees first, unfortunately. Of course, we know the tier 2 tree pull. Jan didn't even necessarily try to. Fouton finding more money in the dam area, so it looks like he'll be doing kind of the traditional South Hylia route.
Yeah, I love that hookshot clip. It's really neat trick.
Yeah, and that works kind of... Oh, and we have a drowned flute. That's a nice pickup there, and that'll give us access to Death Mountain. Death Mountain with flute plus hookshot makes a really nice early game 8 treasure chest location.
Yeah, and if our runners find Hammer, that gets them over to Hera, which at this point is almost completable. If they were to get the Hammer, it would be completable.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing we're missing right now is a legitimate weapon at this point in time. I mean, the cane is nice, but not going to be doing any damage to Moldorm at that point in time.
And an early mushroom in mini Moldorm. Fouton's going to save and quit. Most likely go activate that flute.
Yeah, I imagine so. He's going to be trying to reading the seed, see exactly where he's going to go. That flute does give us the opportunity. Activate it. He might even do a save and quit and immediately flute over to turn in the mushroom. And then if it's nothing, then doing a hard reset. He does have the Cane of Samaria, but saving that mushroom would allow him to do the fake powder once he has access to that area.
Yeah, still need the Hammer. Or potentially, once they have access to Dark World, the mirror. But yeah, it's one of those tricks that pretty simple to pull off, but it requires a fair few items for you to be able to do it. And currently, no way to do that. And with that early mushroom, you never know if progression is hiding behind it. So it's a little bit of a gamble to put it off, just in hopes of being able to fake powder.
And yeah, Fouton does look like he's doing exactly that. He is saving and quitting and is then going to be fluting over. So he has a solid save point. I imagine he's going right over here to it, turning it in. And if it's nothing, we'll do a hard reset so he'll save that mushroom. This is very heads-up play that you don't always do in every game, so you can't just count on being able to do it, but when you can, it's nice to be able to do kind of both.
And the mushroom gets us just 20 rupees, and there's our hard reset. Yeah, that's definitely a very veteran play there by Fouton. He will go ahead and flute, and I imagine we head into Death Mountain.
Absolutely. Now, he is opting to sequence break to save the old man, which is interesting in part because he doesn't have a sword, so can't really like hold your sword out for the sparkles. He's going to end up using the looks like he's using the boomerang to kind of help guide him through this dark room. He has no other point of reference at this point. And neither do we, because we really can't see where he's going to see if he's going to get it. We won't know until he's out.
Looks like he has, yep. So it looks like he's gotten the old man at this point and is on his way back through this second screen. Taking a couple falls there, needs to be careful.
Yeah, and this is kind of the difficulty with going through here without any sort of idea of where you're going to be going. Looks like he takes a hit there to one of the bats. He's about out.
Does need to be careful coming out here. The falling rocks do a full heart damage. Oh, but it's the clutch refill.
That is just absolutely nice to be able to get the refill right there. If you really needed to, you could go ahead and go in, give a kiss to the old man, and he would immediately set you up with the full hearts. But with that heart pickup, go ahead, get a refill heart, get another one, so you're sitting at 7 hearts right now. Still no reliable weapon, but this is kind of a nice setup that he's got going and getting ready to go to East Death Mountain, where there's a lot of weapons for him to possibilities for him to be able to get.
Yeah, gonna be 7 chests over there. We'll be able to have a look at Floating Island and then go to, 8 with Spiral Cave, of course.
Now, I think the absolute optimum thing to happen would be to get the hammer, the moon pearl, and the Titan Smith over here. I know that's asking a lot, but that would allow you to go ahead and route in Death Mountain as well. Dark Death Mountain, I'm sorry. Janthegun is opting to go ahead and check the Ice Rod Cave. This is something that Fouton did skip. Well, there's our hammer and sword, so
wow,
double weapons.
Yeah, like I said, that hammer gives Fouton the ability to head straight over to Hera once he's done with these locations.
All right, love, bombs, rupees, and what else do we have? more rupees and silvers.
Wow. So, Fouton, I don't know what the record is for most rupees in a randomizer run, but I have to imagine Fouton's getting close. But more importantly, getting that hammer, getting that sword, opens up quite a bit. Obviously, we still need the Moon Pearl for our Dark World access, but if Skull Woods is a crystal dungeon, that can be done right away.
Yeah, with that early Fire Rod access, that is a possibility. Meanwhile, Janthegun is doing kind of a fake flipper routing, has plenty of rupees for Zora, does not yet have the Moon Pearl, unfortunately, so cannot sequence break to go ahead and get the Waterfall Fairy items, but Hobo has just a little bit of love for us.
Yep, I expect we'll see Janthegun heading over to King Zora. Our runners had enough money for that 10 minutes ago.
Which is silly when you think about it.
Fouton finds the big key in the bottom floor of Hera there. And the small key. We'll see if maybe the basement is required today. Certainly, I know our runners hope that's not the case, but...
So Janthegun is going to go and do the Zora play right now. Can't do that waterfall. We'll see if Zora is a play. If all that money is pointing, I mean, the randomizer doesn't necessarily work that way, but Jan might be thinking it. Fouton making a real solid play up here into Tower of Hera. We'll be able to go back and get the last item in Spiral Cave as soon as he completes it over here.
We'll see a bomb jump here. This one, I think that's going to do it. Very nicely done. A little bit of a scary one, because if you mess that up, you're falling 2 floors down.
Yeah, I know a lot of runners opt to not do that unless they have the boots. When you do not have the boots, it ends up only giving you like 2 pixels tolerance to be able to get through there. But when you have the boots and can kind of bonk off the wall, it gives you 8 pixels of tolerance. So it's a little bit easier to do it when you have the boots, but Fouton manages it either way. Janthegun, meanwhile, only finds a little bit of love from Zora.
Yeah, it looks like Janthegun going to be heading over to Eastern. Meanwhile, we have Fouton in the Moldorm fight. Needs 3 hammer hits here on Moldorm's tail. Moldorm not really cooperating for him right now.
I mean, does Moldorm ever really cooperate, though?
This is a fair point. Oh, and Fouton takes the fall.
Meanwhile, Janthegun is checking the back of Sahasrara's closet. A little bit of love, arrows, and the Moon Pearl. So Jan finds kind of the key, at least the second part. Fouton takes another fall. Moldorm is absolutely not cooperating.
Yeah, and finding that Moon Pearl, Jan just going to immediately flute out and hit Death Mountain. I like this call a lot. You have that Moon Pearl, you're just an item away from Dark World access, and there is a lot of value to be had up here in Death Mountain.
Absolutely. Fouton is going to hope and pray that the last item in Tower of Hera is on Moldorm and not in the basement. He does have access to the basement and the fire rod, so it's not fire locked. Or he's not fire locked at this point. Has found 1 item. It would be really nice if he could kill Moldorm and the item is here and he won't have to waste time down there.
No such luck, though. That's a compass. And we're headed to the Hera basement. Meanwhile, Janthegun gets through the Dark Cave very nicely. Looked like using the hook shot instead of the boomerang. One other way to do that our runners could have done was to use Samaria blocks, which will let you keep track of your sprite a little bit better. It's not as good in those scrolling rooms like that cave, but it'll help you see once you get to the edges of the screen a little bit easier.
Looks like Fouton managed to set up the coffee break, getting the iframes while standing on the blocks and still able to jump right down, and jumps down a little early. Oh, he's setting up a death warp is what he's doing.
Yep, good call. With no mirror, and he still wants to go check Spiral Cave. Setting up this death warp so he can get right out of the dungeon very quickly. These tiles doing 1 heart of damage each, no matter your level of defense.
Finds the other item, just 5 rupees, and will go ahead and take that death right all the way back up. Ends up being kind of the faster way to do it. Jan finding both the hammer and this first sword. Gotta be happy to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you come up here with this item set, that's kind of what you're hoping to see. You know, something that will get you access to just a little bit more so you can route it efficiently. We're going to get a look at Spiral Cave here from Fouton as he makes the long walk around. And then I have to imagine Fouton will be heading over to the eastern area. It's the most item dense location left to him at this point. Though he could opt to flute over and check out Desert Ledge and Agnes, with that early flute.
It kind of depends what he finds here. Just rupees. So he will be on his way elsewhere at this point in time. And is fluting over. You were absolutely right to call that. It's a logical play at this point to go ahead and come over here. We'll pick up his Moon Pearl and we'll have Dark World access. Janthegun also has Dark World access, but logically is going to go over here to do Tower of Hera. Again, it's a crystal. If you can knock it out while you're up here and never come back to Death Mountain, go for it.
It is a good point in chat. With that hammer, our runners can now fake powder. So I wonder once Fouton, once he does this, he's got the Moon Pearl now. Let's see if he flutes over to Kakariko, does the fake powder, and then heads to the Dark World.
Looks like he's going to do a hype cave check first, kind of come in here from the south route. So, ladies and gentlemen, chat, get your guesses in. Will it be hype or will it be trite? What are we going to see in hype cave?
I'm expecting something like a sword upgrade here. No progression. But, something our runners might be happy to get at this point.
I think we're going to get progression. I'm going to call like the mirror here. I'd like to see it. Of course, I think there's a difference between what I'd like to see and what actually happens.
Oh, well, first bottle.
Hype pending.
Potential hype. Now, I wonder, is Fouton gonna head towards, he's gonna head towards the pod area. Probably check the pyramid. Maybe head over to Catfish.
Maybe. I know a lot of runners try to save that kind of Catfish run until they have the mirror so they can route in the Zora and everything. There's our first map check. Oh my. So Pendants and Swamp, Thieves Town, and Turtle Rock, and then the 5-6 crystals are in their vanilla locations. Misery Mire and Ice Palace.
Seeing Pendant Thieves Town always just makes me sad.
Yeah, it's one of those dungeons that you can complete relatively easily at this point in time. And everyone completes it pretty early, and when it's a pendant, you're like, oh, but I want to do it.
It always feels like it has something until it doesn't, and you get punished for full clearing it. But Fouton is indeed heading over to Pod. We'll get a chance to see if Pod is bow locked. Now with that green potion as well, though, if Fouton wants to, he can make use of the potion glitch, which will get him over to that bow lock section of Pod.
Absolutely true. That could be what he's planning on doing over here. When you have that potion glitch, it's new for... Okay, it's not a new glitch by any stretch of the imagination. It's newly allowed, though. So a lot of runners have been taking advantage of it. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, but it at least keeps you from being absolutely bow locked out of the entire dungeon.
Yeah, and can give you some interesting information. If there is progression over there in that bow lock side, it can give you a little bit of a hint as to where that bow might be. Or more specifically, where the bow can't be. We are indeed bow locked, and given the fact that Fouton has not saved and quit, we're probably going to be seeing that potion glitch.
Likelihood, yes, but that is excellent intel, knowing that the bow is not going to be here. And if he finds anything here, knowing that, the bow can't block out certain things. So kind of interesting to keep in mind when you're doing these glitches, knowing that anything you find here can't be bow locked, so that anything you find here can't lock the bow. And
yeah, and I think information is, a little bit underrated in these types of runs. Just having knowledge of the logic and where specific things might be or might not be can give you a lot of, a bit of a leg up. And we see the glitch here, Fouton using the bottle. Ooh, there he goes. So basically, for anybody who's unaware, the way that glitch works is if you use the bottle while hitting left in that room right before the mimics, you can cause a camera glitch, which basically keeps the camera centered on Link. And if you move over to the right wall, you can move those mimics around by doing a neutral grab onto the wall. And if you move them off the screen, the game considers them dead, and the door opens.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Early 1990s computer programming there. It's not dead when it's dead. It's dead when it's not on the screen.
We do have a Skull Woods check here from Janthegun. See if he finds anything of interest, and Skull Woods is a crystal dungeon, so probably be seeing Janthegun head straight back to Mothula eventually.
Well, you got 8 hearts, blue mail. He does not have the bottle, has the hammer. Oh, 9 hearts now. One of 2 items in Skull Woods is going to be that full heart. I don't know. This would be kind of a rough Mothula fight. Fighter sword. I mean, you have the fire rod, of course, but you're going to use a lot of magic just getting back there.
Yeah, I wonder how comfortable Jan is with hammer strats on Mothula. With the hammer, you only need 4 clean hits to kill Mothula, so see if he opts to go that route. Fouton's probably going to have to reset this room.
Yeah, those beetle heads, hard hats. I don't really know what they're really called, but annoying jerks and substitute jerks for other terms that we're not allowed to say on a family-friendly channel.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Especially the red ones, they have an absurd amount of health. Oh, we see Quake here from Jan.
And the problem is the Quake only stuns them, so it doesn't really help a whole lot other than being able to hammer a couple of them free.
Fouton, I was wondering what he's doing. He is setting up a fake powder here. Really needs to be careful right now.
Man, that is close. Meanwhile, Jan has taken a couple hits. Gonna get one last powder refill. Oh, almost got grabbed by that horrible Trump hand there just before the fall.
Yeah, didn't see what was in that last dark room chest there for Fouton. Does get the fake powder finally on that anti-fairy. Will heal up to full.
Oh man, Jan is having a heck of a fight here. Down to using fighter sword strats. 2.5 hearts. Half a heart and a death.
Yeah, that is a tough break for Janthegun. That is a difficult fight under these circumstances. And you're not opting for the hammer shard. It's maybe not comfortable with it. The hammer hitbox is so wonky that I have a hard time blaming anybody. Fouton finds red mail in the dark maze of Pod.
I mean, that's nice. It's not probably what you're looking for. You're probably all right with finding other things other than red mail right now.
Thus far, Pod has not paid out.
Unfortunately not, and disappointed with just some bombs there. So the pod dip, even with the potion glitch, has not really been terribly effective. Janthegun now looks like going down to Kakariko proper. Fouton is going to be fluting. We'll see where. And also to Kakariko. Likely to do that fake powder glitch and to turn in the sick kid. So here's our hype cave index officially settled.
Not so hype.
Yeah, we can safely call that like a 1 of nothing hype. 1 of 10.
I mean, can Fouton even fit that red rupee into his rupee pouch at this point?
I mean, if Link is walking around with that kind of fat money pouch right now, he's a target for all sorts of thieves. You gotta know, don't carry around that much cash. Rule number 1 of being around the city.
Ooh, interesting. We find the book in Village of Outcasts. And fake powder today. That magic bat. Ether. Oh, that's interesting. We won't know for a while if that's required, but
Yeah, I think that would absolutely worry me, and I'd be very happy if I was Fouton doing that, because if you go down there and Ether is either Misery Mire or even worse, Turtle Rock. Can you imagine Turtle Rock being Ether and something being there?
ooh, that would not be very much fun. Fouton gonna make use of some of that money. He takes your advice to heart.
Janthegun.
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think we both had the same thought at the same time. Janthegun heading into Independent Thieves Town. It's be interesting to see how deep into Thieves Town he decides to go.
You know, a lot of runners make the decision based on what they end up finding in this front part of Thieves Town. He's found 1 item so far, another heart, the big key. There's the second item, so half the treasures in Thieves Town have been found already.
So 2 items in Thieves Town have been found so far, 2 items left. And given that, Jan is going to just head straight back, finish this dungeon out. I think if I were in Jan's shoes, I definitely feel better about this only finding 2 items. Nothing's worse than 3 items being up here, none of them being progression. He's just being like, oh man, do I finish this for 1 item?
Yeah, and I think that makes it a little bit more understandable. 2 is justifiable. 1, you just absolutely go down there. 3 is where it gets a little bit hairy.
Oh, but Jan needs to be cautious here. Already down to 1 heart going through this dungeon.
Oh, and also Jan tried to do the fake powder glitch, but unfortunately took an anti-fairy to the face. And will have to come back and is leaving.
I can't really blame Jan for doing that. You know, a little bit risky trying that fake powder there, but once you've died and it is a pinned dungeon, I think at this point, if you're feeling behind like I feel like Jan must, gotta take a little bit of a risk and just say I'm out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You have to take that gamble, I think, especially when you had the rough start that Jan did. So this is one of those gambles. Fouton, meanwhile, is looking like going to go over and do his shot at Mothula. Just a couple more hearts, and then Red Mail. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the differences in the fighting styles. Red Mail comes to the point where you actually take less damage if you're bodied up close to Mothula, as opposed to taking all the damage from the flying spikes that are going around, because the spikes will do 1 heart of damage no matter what. So we may see just an entirely different style from Fouton here.
Yeah, I would expect to see the hammer pulled out once he's used all his magic. He did grab a blue potion though, so if he wants to be a little more, liberal with those fire rod shots, he has the ability to refill his magic.
So I do think that, the bottle that he got in that hype cave could absolutely be kind of the difference maker right now. Remember, Jan did not have the bottle with the first fight into Mothula. Fouton will, and with a blue potion that he restocked there, don't know if he's going to need it though. Mothula's cooperating pretty well.
Yeah, staying more towards the center of the room here. Very nicely done.
And gets the compass, but more importantly, gets a crystal, and not one of the 5/6 crystals. So we'll be happy to see that's our second crystal for the seed at 42 minutes. We're on kind of a nice pace right now.
Yeah, it does beg the question though, where's our progression? Is it in the back of Thieves Town? Because we're running out of options. Neither runner has dipped into Eastern, so there's potentially could be something there. But not very many other dungeons are available at the moment.
Not very many, but there's one item that Jan did end up getting that could point us into a direction. Remember that book that we got in Village of Outcasts might point us towards a bootless desert palace.
Yeah, no guarantees that we can complete desert at this point, which I know can put some people off of doing desert right away, but given the options, it might be the place to look. We do see Janthegun also going to be doing that fake powder glitch, which is good. Never want to see, I speak for myself, I guess. I don't want to see a race decided by one person knowing how to do that glitch and another not. So both our runners now have Ether. Still don't know if it's required, but the race won't be decided by that.
And there is an interesting question in chat that I want to kind of bring up and have this discussion from Prestidigitation. First of all, one of my favorite D&D spells ever. But Prestidigitation in chat asks, is it better to speedrun the vanilla game before you get into randomizer races? And I will tell you, Prestidigitation, people come from randomizer from all sorts of backgrounds. Some people have never played the vanilla game. Some people have played the vanilla game when they were children, like myself, and have memorized the vanilla game. Some people do come from what we call the NMG arena, the no major glitch speedrunning, and then have jumped over to randomizer because it's a little bit more popular right now. There's no requirements though, because people have come from so many different backgrounds to do this that you do you.
Absolutely. Speaking for myself, I started with rando. So I think the one thing that starting with the vanilla speedrun will give you is some execution, you know, with especially with low percentage boss fights. I think that's something that you would probably have over somebody who started with a randomizer, but randomizer is only partly about execution. The other major part of it is routing and knowing the logic and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, everyone kind of has different ideas about what to do and what you're going to do and things like that. The best way to get better at rando, if you want to practice the NMG strats, absolutely, they can do nothing but help you. But a lot of people just kind of jumped right in to rando and then learned it from there. So whatever you're more comfortable with is what it comes down to. Runners across the spectrum have tried all different strats. Back to the race, though. Meanwhile, Janthegun is checking our desert area. Fouton is in Thieves Town. Looks like he's going to be diving in deeper. We'll see which gamble pays off.
yeah, this should be very interesting. If Fouton finds something here that's going to be really bad for Jan, I say really bad, probably not as bad as it might seem. He'll run out of options here very soon. But something here is in desert. That could help Jan get back into this race just a little bit. But unfortunately, Desert Palace's boots locked.
Yeah, that means we're out of options at this point in time. Although, we still have, I guess, Catfish.
Catfish, neither runner's been to Eastern Palace yet. And then there's the back of Thieves Town here.
And it looks like Jan says, I've already left Thieves Town. I like this play by Jan. It may not necessarily be the right play, but when you've already gone through the logic and says, I've already made the conscious decision to leave a place, I am full committing to that decision.
Yeah, it might seem stubborn, but when you're in a race setting, you have to think of it like, what has my opponent done relative to what I've done? Something's a gamble until your opponent does it as well. So from Jan's perspective, he's like, I'm making the gamble that there's nothing in Thieves Town. Going back there only invalidates that gamble and costs me more time.
Absolutely. I think of it as hedging the bet. You've made the bet that nothing's there. If you go back now, you're just hedging on that, as opposed to the other options that you have. Now, once you go back, if there's nothing anywhere else, then you're like, oh, well, I messed up. And then you have to make other gambles later on.
Yeah. If you're gonna gamble, you have to 100% fully commit to it.
Absolutely. So Fouton looks like is going to go ahead and check this treasure chest over here. There's nothing so far in the back of Thieves Town, but this could be something here. We have this treasure chest and then the blind fight itself.
So nothing in Thieves Town, but Fouton going to finish this out, get that pendant, because we still don't know what's on the pedestal. Oh, and boots are in Eastern Palace.
That might be our ticket. That might be the bottleneck right there, because boots. That point, we have access to Bonk Rocks and now Desert, which is boots locked.
Also, something to keep in mind that gives us access to Cane of Burna, which does also unlock one other location in Death Mountain.
Oh, our Spike Cave. That would be our invincibility item at that point in time. Absolutely.
So from Fouton's perspective here, he's going to have to head over to Eastern at this point. He might make that desert check the same way that Jan did, but he's also running out of locations very quickly.
Absolutely. We'll see. The bottleneck right now appears to be those boots. I think Jan is going to go over here, check Bonk Rocks, and then head right back. Well, I mean, he could go and check the library ledge if he wants to. It wouldn't be that far of a run, or flute in some cases. But something tells me desert. I mean, I'm just feeling desert right now.
Well, desert is now completable for our runners, so it makes sense to do that first. Even if you're not finding progression, you're getting that dungeon out of the way. So definitely wouldn't shock me to see Jan head right back over there.
Absolutely. And Fouton is taking kind of a long walk now. Where is Fouton going?
Probably going to check Stumpy, and then he's going to have to save and quit after that. I can't remember if Jan checked Stumpy, but just a big 20 there.
I think Jan did, but... Fouton is coming over here. This is going to be his Ice Rod Cave check. Remember, Fouton opted to skip this earlier. Jan getting the big key, so now can go ahead and complete Desert Palace. I believe this is going to end up being the small key. Like, there's no getting around it.
Yeah, this has to be the small key. And Jan will head all the way back over to the other side of desert. This is interesting from Jan's perspective because he knows he's got to defeat Landmole anyway. So go ahead and defeat it, and if you need to come back, because he already found one item, if you need to defeat it, come back later. Go back to the other side afterwards, but you may not have to. Meanwhile, Fouton heading over to desert, and definitely understandable play. He's going to be very disappointed once he gets over there and finds out its boots locked. Alright, so Janthegun heading into his Landmo fight. Fouton fluting away to 5? No.
Oh, it might be doing fake flippers at this point. Going to see if there's a sequence break available. Can't do Ice Palace right now.
Now, interestingly, Janthegun did this earlier, but did not have the Moon Pearl at the time. So we don't yet know what's in Waterfall Cave.
Oh, Janthegun having to do Landmo kind of the vanilla way with a fighter sword. I'm telling you, Cane of Burn is amazingly good at Landmo. I'm just going to put that out there.
Sounds like something you have personal experience with.
Maybe a couple times, yeah. Just a map on Landmo, so our second item is going to be over on that right side of Desert Palace.
Yep, so probably see Janthegun head back in here, find that last item in Desert, and then from there, unless this is progression, really the only thing left is to grab that Cane of Burna and go check out Spike Cave.
Absolutely. So here's Fouton checking out doing this sequence break. We'll see if anything's here. Part of me hopes that nothing's here because I hate to see kind of progression be split like this. Just a heart container. Meanwhile, Janthegun finds the other useless item, and back behind the cannons, something's got to be here. Something's got to be here. No.
So, yeah, Spike and Catfish. Those are really our only two options at this point.
And it's really weird to think about it like that. Spike and Catfish are only two options. But it's true. It's absolutely true. So, looks like Jan is going... Maybe going to pick it up? Oh, guards, the creeper's here. Heads up in chat, we do not have access to King's Tomb. We need either the Titan's Mitts or the Mirror, and we have neither to have access to that.
So it looks like Jan is putting the pieces together. He heads over to the library and grabs Cane of Burna. And I imagine we'll see him fluting away to Death Mountain. And Fouton finally going to be heading into Eastern. He's put this off for basically ever. We'll be getting his boots from the big chest here in Eastern Palace.
You know, it's really interesting. It's worth noting that Jan, had those troubles to start off with, effectively gave Fouton, a 2.5 to 3 minute mulligan lead to start off with, but has come back and found the entrance of the bottleneck for the breadcrumbs for this seed, and really is in a better position than Fouton right now, unless it is a pedestal seed.
Yeah, that would not be good for Jan, since he skipped out on the back half of East Town. Now, having said that, he does have the book, and he does still need to go kill Mothula. If he finds the mirror at some point, that would make that a quick double check. Kill Mothula, check the pedestal, and that would give him the information he needs to know he has to complete those pendants.
And there's the Titan's Mitts. Oh, man.
So the sequence there was boots to Burna to Spike Cave for the mitts. That's a pretty unique item chain.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone really expects that to happen, but it's Randomizer. It can happen, so you have to be mentally prepared for it. And it looks like Jan is doing the first thing possible and going to be going over here to Dark Death Mountain. There are going to be 6 treasure locations, plus the intel is what's opening Turtle Rock, and hoping it's Bombo, so it's not possible to dip in there right now.
It's a good point from chat. Really, all our runners need now, logically, is that bow. The lamp technically is still required, but if our runners are comfortable with dark runes, it won't be necessary.
This is true. We don't need the Ice Rod because Turtle Rock and Trinix may not necessarily be required. The Flippers would probably be logically required in order to get into Ice Palace, so until you get that, you can kind of bank on not needing to go in there. And the lamp, just to get through the dark rooms in Misery Mire and Pod, but both runners have shown a proficiency in getting through dark rooms up to this point in time, so yeah, bow. It could be a mirrorless, ice rodless, lampless seed. Ugh.
So, my question at this point now, if Turtle Rock is available, if it's either Ether or Quake to get in, do you dip in after Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny?
Well, I'm now sitting at 1 and 4, so the answer for me would be yes. But I don't know if that's the right play, but it's Bombos. I think Jan is breathing a sigh of relief.
Our runners are spared from having to make that decision. Of course, Misery Mire is completable now, assuming they can get in with those 2 medallions. So I would have to imagine that would be next up on the itinerary.
Master Sword. I'm sure Jan is happy to see that. There's the lamp. Darkroom access ho.
We'll see these final 2 chests here in Dark Death Mountain, Piece of Heart and Flippers.
Oh no. I don't know if you necessarily want to see the flippers right now, because that logically unlocks Ice Palace. I mean, you can do Skull Woods, you can do Ice Palace, you can do Misery Mire. You still can't do Eastern Palace right now. What do you do?
Oh, I'm doing what Jan is right now, and I'm going to Mire, checking to see what the medallion is for Misery Mire, making sure I don't still have to look for Bombos, and going into the Mire Shed. And then probably just finishing off Misery Mire.
And that looked like Quake to me, which absolutely at this point, yeah, go ahead and dive Mire at this point. Oh no. Oh no, you do not want to see that.
Oh, that's not a good sign. It doesn't change my plans in the current moment if I were in Jan's shoes. I'd be doing exactly what he's doing now and just finishing this dungeon off. But if the bow is not found in here, or Ice Palace, because that's our other 5/6 crystal. It's gonna make for some tough choices down the road.
Yeah, I really don't even know what's the right answer. I imagine Jan is still feeling pretty behind, although has made some really good plays at this point in time. It's just a matter of what's better. Man, that was a heads-up play by Jan. Okay, so I just want to walk you through there what Jan did. Took a hit with the laser, took 1 heart of damage, immediately turned around, got a heart drop that was right there to refill his heart for sword beams, to immediately slash to get a whiz robe that was starting to fade away. So that was incredibly heads up. That's like Twitch-like reflexes.
Very nicely done. Fouton, after finishing Desert Palace, going to finally check Agonist Cave, which we know just had bombs in it. And we'll see Jan heading through Misery Mire here. 2 items to find. Obviously, hoping for the bow and nothing else at this point.
I mean, bow would be absolutely amazing in Misery Mire. A, you can go mode everything else, and B, you would be able to use silvers on our wonderful host, Vitreous. Otherwise, you're looking at maybe having to do Cane of Burna dash strats.
Yeah, which is honestly not too bad. And Jan does have a blue potion, so I don't imagine Vitreous is going to be too big a deal, even if he doesn't find the bow here. And Fouton, finally having run out of options, comes to the only remaining conclusion.
Yeah, they both kind of found that bottleneck, and then Jan is in a really solid spot right now. Keep in mind, Fouton does have Skull Woods down, so Jan will have to go back and get it. So these two are pretty close to being tied.
Yeah, oddly enough, unless knock on wood that for Jan at least that um, pedestal's not required here, that death in Thieves Town might have saved him some time.
Yeah, the other main differentiating factor at this point in time between the two is that Fouton did do an early dive into Palace of Darkness with using that bottle glitch, full cleared it, found Bupkis, so it'll be a double start. Oh no. Oh no.
That's just so mean. Game, why would you do that?
Why game? And is that 2 items that Fouton's or Jan has found?
Based on where he's headed, I would guess so. So the Meyer play giving Jan Ice Rod and Bombos.
Now, that doesn't mean Turtle Rock has what we're looking for. But, I mean, it points a gigantic... like those guys in the airport that with the big glowing sticks that says, come here, this is the way you have to go, this is the way you have to go. Yeah, that's what Bombos and Ice Rod do for Turtle Rock right at the moment. I have no idea what those professions are called.
I was thinking of the air traffic, the tarmac guys, whatever.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the those big red arrow signs that have the lights on it that just kind of flash, just pointing it to Death Mountain.
Yeah, the problem is it might all be a trick because you're only 1 item away from this at this point in time.
Yeah, and the thing for Jan is he still has Ice Palace to complete. Can still go to Pyramid Fairy before having to make that decision. So no need to panic. Using bomb strats here on Vitreous.
I mean, I enjoy bomb strats. They're nice. They're fun to watch. They're fun to even do if you are so inclined. Not the fastest, not even the fastest way that Jan could possibly do this.
I'm wondering if he might have been saving his magic to finish him off with Burn a Dash strats, and that looks to be what he's switching to here. Not dashing, just going to use Master Sword slashes. Just lagging up the whole game.
We're not in go mode, we're in slow mode.
Jan needs to be careful here. Vitreous hurts. And he's only on 4.5 hearts. Might have to bust out that blue potion. If he's not careful...
I mean, he's doing all right so far, but it only takes 1 hit from Vitreous. Oh, man. So close.
Man, gets him with the final spin. A difficult fight without those arrows, but Janthegun does get it done.
All right, so Jan does do Misery Mire. What do you do if you're Janthegun? Did you go ahead and do Ice Palace?
Oh yeah, I'm doing Ice Palace right away. It's your other 5/6. It's your 6 crystal. It gets you. So in essence, it gets you access to 5 items at this point.
And since logically you got the flutes, you aren't go moding it. If you don't have the flippers, if you don't have the flippers yet, do you go mode it, just knowing that possibly the bow isn't here, or am I logic completely bad?
I'm having to take a moment to think about that. I mean, there aren't really any other locations open. Obviously, those not in pod.
Well, we know that. Jan doesn't know that. Jan has completely avoided pod up to this point in time.
It's an interesting hypothetical that my brain was not ready to answer. But we don't have to worry about it, fortunately, because Jan did find the flippers. So this is all in sequence. Thank you, chat. We have not done any of the Jeremiah purple chest sequence, as our runners went straight to Meyer after finding those mitts.
And I think I probably would have, thinking about it, that would have been a good check, because if you find the bow there, you can go mode everything.
Yeah, it does become an interesting question if we do not find anything here in Ice Palace. Do you make that Turtle Rock play, or do you go do those Dark World Overworld checks? I would be inclined to do the Overworld checks first, I suppose. Anything to keep you out of Pendant Turtle Rock and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Jan's got one chance at this and missed it. All those bomb strats on Vitreous left Jan with one bomb. So not able to do the bomb jump. Luckily has to full clear it and has the Cane of Samaria, so it doesn't actually lose that much time.
Fouton had a little bit of a hiccup there in the cutscene room, had to reset everything, but does get through it. All right, and we're going to have the Freezor room check here from Jan. It is just a small key, but that's nice. It lets him head back up and go through that locked door over to the right side and the 3 chests that are behind it.
Yeah, this makes this routing quite a bit easier right now. Just another heart container here, and we'll see what else Jan finds. Fouton, meanwhile, moving quickly through this in Misery Mire. The two are very, very close to one another.
Yeah, I think at this point it's really just that Mothula kill separating them. The Mothula kill and the Palace of Darkness check that Fouton did. Though the nice thing for Fouton is once they do find the bow, he'll be able to go straight back to Helmasaur King. Well, no, excuse me. Trying to remember where the big key was in Palace of Darkness. I believe it was in the back.
I thought the big key was on both sides, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
But regardless, that should be a little bit of time that Fouton will be able to save later on down the road. Janthegun having to do this non-bomb jump routing of Ice Palace.
And what do we have in the iced tea room? It is Half magic. Okay, that's super nice. Just before you have to do cold stare.
A very handy find.
Fouton also using bomb strats for Vitreous. Are bomb strats really that much faster than dash strats?
I would have to say no. It saves you a little bit of lag, I suppose, but given that both these runners had blue potions, I'm a little bit shocked that they weren't doing it from the outset. Fouton opting for semi-NMG strats here. Doesn't really have the health to be doing full NMG strats, I suppose, but...
Oh, he took one eyeball hug.
Ooh, playing with fire here a little bit. He feels confident in his hammer strat.
Oh no!
I was, he might have felt comfortable with those hammer strats, but you have the blue potion for a reason. Were I in his shoes, I would have just bit the bullet and used it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Jan, clearing out Ice Palace, gets his other 5/6 crystal. Got to imagine he will be checking that Pyramid Fairy and then the Overworld before possibly diving into Pendant Turtle Rock. Skullwoods, I guess, is still a possibility.
Could do Skullwoods do a pedestal check? I don't believe... Has anyone checked Catfish yet? I don't think so.
No.
They both opted to do the burn a Spike Cave play before checking Catfish. So it could do Pyramid Fairy into Catfish and then make his decision from there.
And it's weird. Fouton is actually abandoning Vitreous now. When that's a crystal that you have to do, I mean, maybe you leave hoping to come back later when you're better equipped, but right now, I just don't think we're going to be seeing that.
I think on Fouton's side, what he's hoping, he's making a little bit of a gamble here, potentially, and hoping that Bo is here in Ice Palace. If that is the case, then he can go mode everything else and kill Vitreous much more easily.
Problem is, we know that's not the case, at least from what we've seen on Janthegun's side. Jan will be preparing to head on over, check this Pyramid Fairy, see what we have here. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say whatever sort of lead Fouton might have had on Jan at this point is gone. That death to Vitreous was really painful.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, this is Jan's first check to Pyramid. I had forgotten that Jan hadn't actually checked Pyramid yet. Well, I mean, you get a blue potion, so that's something.
It's nice, but hopefully Catfish has what we're looking for. Otherwise, some hard decisions are going to have to be made here.
Absolutely. So, Catfish, here we come.
The fortunate thing for our runners, now I don't even want to say it.
Don't say it. You can't start something like that and not say it.
I can't take it back. I was going to say, fortunately for our runners, they have not found Mirror yet.
You're a mean one, Mr. Misher. You really are a troll.
Oh,
Just a
okay.
piece of heart.
Oh, all right. At least for the moment, my curse has not come to bear.
And we see Jan fluting away. He's not continuing up Death Mountain, so he's not going to Turtle Rock. which is good. No, Jan, not here. This is...
Oh.
Jan is going to be dipping into pod, which we know is empty. This is, I mean, Jan has a bit of a lead right now, but this is going to put him right back behind. No, Jan.
So here's the question. Is Jan familiar with the potion glitch? Is he going to do it? Because we know that pod is bow locked. Is he going to continue on by using the potion glitch?
He shouldn't if he's thinking. If the only thing you're looking for is the bow, and you get that first treasure chest, and you know the entire dungeon is bow locked, you nope out of there, like, immediately. You know the bow cannot be here. What you're looking for cannot be here after you open that first chest.
Yeah, and I think based on what we've seen so far, Jan is following the logic. So I think we should see him save and quit out of here pretty much immediately after finding this compass. Yep. You know, in a vacuum, I don't hate the play. There's a lot of items in pod. It would not be the first time that bow was sitting in pod. So give it a quick check. If it is there, then you can, you know, do that crystal dungeon, get it out of the way. We're getting a King's Tomb check. Forgot we hadn't seen that yet.
Well, I mean, that's one of those, again, overworld locations, and I think he's getting ready to start the Jeremiah loop, which is really interesting because you don't have the mirror, so you're going to have to save and quit immediately as soon as you get Jeremiah. So this is kind of a rough check before too long. Where are you going, Jan? Oh yeah, I gotta go into the dark world. Yes, Jan. In the back of Jan's mind also has to be the back of Thieves Town, which he skipped and he gambled, and it's paid off incredibly well for him up until this point in time. But so I hope he's doing these overworld checks, but it's possible that Jan could also be checking Thieves Town as well before going up to Turtle Rock, which we know isn't the play.
I think it comes back to what we talked about before. Commit to your gambles. If he's committing to this gamble, then Thieves Town will be the absolute last thing he does. Probably even after checking Pedestal.
All right, are we going to have bowsmiths, or are we going to have something else? Man, if this is the mirror over here, this would be horrible.
Jan, for the second time, gets the guards called on him.
Well, Jan, I mean, maybe he just likes being called a creeper. Maybe he's into that. I don't know. I mean, don't kink shame, man.
I mean, I think she just saw a large bipedal cat walking through town with a sword and a shield, so... And, you know, might be rightly a little bit disturbed by that.
Concerned, yeah. I mean, a giant walking cat with a sword. So Fouton going back, looks like he's gonna get his revenge on Vitreous.
Yep, no putting it off now. Has to get that other 5/6 crystal. Has to get this dungeon done. And unfortunately, with the Smith chain, not having the mirror does mean that it's going to be a little bit more of a hassle to get it all finished.
Using these hammer dash strats. You know, this hammer dash is just so satisfying to be able to do.
is a very cool trick that is only able to be done in the 1.0 Japanese version of the game. Hey, Tempered Sword. That's a nice find.
Yeah, I mean, now you're saved from having to do, Master Sword Ganon. At the very least, you already got the silvers, and you know you're going to find the bow. So, yeah, that's a nice pickup. I'll take it.
We'll grab that purple chest, save and quit. And we'll go turn that in. And I don't think there's much left at this point. If our bow is not here, I don't think our runner's going to be able to put off Turtle Rock any longer.
Nope. I mean, there's... and it depends. I mean, this could actually be some sort of progression if it's not here. Nope. It's Turtle Rock. Hang on, I have a song for this situation.
Ooh, looking forward to this.
I gotta find it. It's like buried in my notes here.
Well, you've got some time as Janthegun makes his way up Death Mountain.
All right. I got it. I'm here. Waste the day away. Overworld is not the place. Zora makes you pay. Go to Turtle Rock. It's the old Fraggle Rock theme.
I would clap for you, but I have to be holding down my control key to talk, so... But... I don't know if you can hear that.
Well, I'll take it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. We do have a quick ether check here from Jan.
I mean, it's a worthwhile check. If you could avoid going to Turtle Rock, you do it. And there it is!
Wow, so at the 11th hour, our runners are spared from Turtle Rock. And ladies and gentlemen, we're in go mode.
My God, that was, I mean, it's one of those, okay, I have to check this on my way just in case, because, it could be, I don't think you actually expect it to be there.
No, generally speaking not, and the seed really hasn't been that kind to them as of yet, but it does throw them a bone in this situation. And this race, I think a lot is going to come down to, is Fouton going to make the same overworld checks? He's going to head straight to Death Mountain. That would get him right back into this race.
Absolutely. Worth noting, Jan still has to go over and do Skull Woods.
Yep, and still has to find the big key and pod, which Fouton already has.
So, Fouton, where are you going?
Oh, he's gonna do Overworld.
Well, he's going to start with, I think, the logical play is to do the Pyramid Fairy, which you just committed so much time to doing it. So you got to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he went back to Misery Mire immediately. So we'll do this check. Might go check Catfish, potentially.
Potentially. I don't really know. It would be logical to go ahead and do that. So Jan does pick up another crystal in Eastern Palace. Did not see. Did he route that correctly so he can just have his portal right on the outside and go right there? Nope. Maybe a little frustrated with himself because of that right there.
Nope. He's going to have to flute away back over to 5, use this portal, and head into Palace of Darkness.
Yep. So Jan will end up having to do, again, Skullwoods. I keep saying that, but that is the one advantage Fouton does have. Fouton is going over here to Catfish. The longer he puts off going up Death Mountain, which sounds really weird saying, but the longer he puts off going up Death Mountain, the longer it takes him to go. That being said, Jan did end up finding the Tempered Sword in the Hammer Pegs area. If Fouton does go up Death Mountain right now and finds the bow, it sets up a situation where Jan will have Tempered and Fouton will have Master going to Ganon, which would still give Jan the advantage.
Sure would. Anybody who caught the ACM Zero Rush race yesterday will tell you Master Sword Ganon, even for the best of runners, is no joke.
Yeah, Jan's still having to find the big key. I think it's in this treasure chest right here, if I remember correctly. Oh no, it's just a single key. Never mind.
I cannot remember. It might have been in the vanilla spot. It's either in the vanilla spot or in the very back. I did not catch it on Fouton's first run through here.
Fouton does look like he's going to be checking some of this dark overworld locations. Jeremiah, Hammer Pegs, and the purple chest, which, again, logical, especially if you don't want to have to go up to Turtle Rock. So he's going to find his Tempered Sword, which is good, but it's going to put off him finding his bow, which is bad.
It was less good. I mean, for the same reasons why it was a good play for Jan to do that first as well. It's a good play here. Yeah, there's that big key. So Jan will have to make a little bit of a run back not having that mirror. But you really want to do everything you can before having to go up to Pendant T-Rock. But it is going to really put Fouton behind the 8 ball in trying to catch up here. One minor difference because of this, the way the routing worked out here, Jan will not have red mail. With 14 hearts, maybe not as big a deal, but something to consider.
14 hearts, and I believe he has at least 2 blue potions. He has the one that he picked up earlier in the Pyramid variant. I think he still has the one that he did not use, correct?
Yeah, I don't believe he's used that blue potion he bought at all, so he's got plenty of safeties. No powder, unfortunately. Not, at least we haven't found that yet. Could be in GT.
So Jan on his Helmasaur fight will only be a Skullwoods away after this Helmasaur fight. I really don't anticipate any problems here.
No, he's in very good shape. Has the silver arrows. Likes to go for tempered sword slashes, which is only takes 4, so not too bad of a fight regardless.
And gets a heart container or a heart piece to fill up the hearts right as he got a heart refill. So nice.
And here goes Fouton up to Death Mountain. Yeah, and the unfortunate thing for Fouton, even if he gets this bow as quickly as possible and go mode straight away, he's going to have the same issue Jan did, where no mirror, going to make doing both Eastern and Pod a little bit more difficult than they would be normally if you were double doing the back-to-back.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. So Fouton heading up Death Mountain now. Jan on his way over to Skullwoods. We'll see if Fouton ends up making the play over to Ether first. Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And congratulations, Fouton. You are now in go mode. And probably maybe slightly frustrated, but fluting away now.
Yep. Only has to do these 2 dungeons, which is nice, but Janthegun will be almost certainly be finished with Skullwoods here before Fouton is even done with Eastern.
Oh, absolutely. And much better equipped than Jan did. I mean, Fouton had a really nice fight, absolutely, but half magic and fire rod and tempered sword and 15 hearts, you're probably feeling pretty good about your chances here.
Yeah, this is probably going to be night and day from Jan's first attempt on this boss earlier.
I mean, if Mothula would play nice with us, he's just kind of hugging that spike wall right at the moment.
Gets that last slash onto Mothula. That is the 7th and final crystal for Jan. And you know what that means?
I do know what that means. Would you like to do it?
Sure. We have a little game we like to play here on the Speed Gaming channels for Link to the Past Randomizer. There are 22 locations that the big key can be in Ganon's Tower. Get your guesses in now, put in a number or a location if you'd like. And whoever gets it closest will get some internet points.
It is worth noting to be added to our leaderboard. You do have to either be a subscriber to any one of the 6 Speed Gaming Network of channels or have donated at least 250 bits. So you'll still get internet points, but you'll get extra shiny internet points if you're a subscriber or have donated.
Absolutely. So what number are you going with? I know you got it right a little while ago and changed numbers. Are you sticking with that new number?
I've been kind of bouncing all over, but I need to commit. So I'm going to commit to number 9 right at the moment.
All right, I'm going to stick with number 11.
Meanwhile, Fouton is on his way to get his 7th crystal. Fouton will have a little bit easier time through pod here. Already has the big key because of his early check.
Yeah, and I think when you look over this race and go over it from start to finish, the difference at this point is that Fouton decided to do pod early. Potion glitched and full cleared it. Jan went to pod while still looking for that bow, but since it was his go mode item, knew that it couldn't be in there after pod was bow locked and left early. I think ultimately that's going to end up being the difference in this race, is what it looks like at this moment.
Absolutely. So Jan entering Ganon's tower at this point finds just a few rupees in the first 2 treasure chests, so the seed is at least forcing him to start out on the left side here.
Yep, well, and also no mirror, so if he was a devout dark magician user, unless he finds it in the Stalfos room, will not be able to employ that strategy.
Oh man, no mirror right now. It's so rare for you to have mirrorless seeds that to see it when you get up here, this might not be fun.
I mean, I'm not familiar with what Jan's normal routing would be through here, but maybe full left side is something he's used to. Maybe it's not a big deal.
Man, this red skeleton is just being horrible to Jan. All right, coming up on location number 8, the fire bar room.
Another consideration to make with no mirror, if you want to get back to the entrance more easily from one of these locations, you're likely going to have to do a death warp. Yeah, unless the key is found in Ice Armos room, you could walk up from there, but...
Do you start taking damage now if you're Jan to start setting up that death warp?
I might consider doing that once I'm at Ice Armos, but at this point, probably not.
And here comes Randomizer room, locations 10 through 13. So-called the Randomizer room because if you play the vanilla game, you probably never see this room because it's pretty worthless.
10, 11, 12, 13.
Lucky number 13 is our winner.
And unfortunately, Jan going to have to make the long walk around. That was not a very nice place for that to be without the mirror.
No, it's not good. But he can avoid Ice Armos and is now on his way right up there. This is why you need to know the maps, even though you can get through there pretty quickly. And of course, he just avoids the big chest because why do you need to open that?
Yeah, definitely no reason at this point. He has everything he could possibly want to complete the rest of this game.
And congratulations to Neophage, who is our closest subscriber to guess it. No one guessed 13, so he was closest with 12. GG Neophage.
Yep, congrats. Unfortunate for Fouton here, there's going to be no real chance for him to make up ground on Jan here in GT, just because not having that mirror and the way it's laid out. He's gonna have no choice but to check all the locations that Jan did.
Yeah, so at this point, you gotta hope for. I mean, if you're both of these runners, you probably feel behind if you're in both of those situations. Jan's still taking the safeties, though. I gotta say, I have to respect anyone who understands their own play style well enough that they know they have to get the safeties.
Absolutely. Know your limitations. Don't try to do something in a race that you're not comfortable with.
All right, so Jan is going through the gauntlet, which is can be kind of a mixed bag depending on what you end up getting. Working his way relatively neatly through, though.
Yeah, these rooms can be incredibly RNG dependent. The enemy pathing is not something you can take into account when trying to plan out these rooms. There's some strategies you can employ that will most of the time get you the kills as quickly as you would like, but especially with the ice physics and conveyor belts.
Ice physics, conveyor belts, lasers that will knock you halfway across the room if they hit you.
Nice 2-cycle there from Jan on land mode 2.
Oh, Jan ended up missing the nice glitch here, or nice setup for the whiz robe.
Yeah, this one can be tough if you're not practiced with it due to the conveyor belts in the room. It does eventually get them down. Dashes through that bridge, and we'll be heading on to the torch firebar room.
Fouton is also the new proprietor of a big key. We'll see if Fouton ends up checking the big treasure chest, or if, because like Jan knows that he's right there at the end and hasn't seen a completion done, is just going for broke and going as fast as he can. Every second counts.
Absolutely. Might be able to make up, if his execution is on point, might be able to make up a little bit of time on Jan. But ultimately, for Fouton to have any chance, he's going to have to hope that Jan takes a couple falls, maybe here, maybe to Ganon.
Depending on how far you get into Ganon, it could only be one Ganon fall that separates these two as well. And Janthegun in this final Hellway, it's nothing but boss fights from here on out. Aghanim 2 and Ganon. So we'll see how friendly Ag is going to be. I've seen a lot of desyncs that have been going on recently with Aghanim.
Ooh, nice double there on the first cycle. His pattern's not the best.
These are not friendly at all. This one is... That was odd.
Yeah, fortunately they were all in a line, a diagonal line, but still a line, so he used the sword spin to get the 2 shots onto Aga, and on the next phase gets the 6th one in, and will be headed off to fight Ganon.
All right. So Janthegun on his way to his wonderful blue bacon fight. Got to be. This is where the nerves start building up when you don't see that dot done yet, or see the completion of your competitor. Fouton with a nice zero cycle.
Yep, just gotta keep those nerves in check here. Just take it slow and steady. Still has those blue potions, so no need to do anything crazy here. But gets the nice positioning from Ganon here on phase 2.
Worth noting, Fouton's going to have the same position here and is using Burnus strats to get his last couple slashes in. Lags Ganon, but man, he's through the last phase. He'll have plenty of magic to get through phase 3 and then over here to phase 4. That's the hardest part of the fight at this point.
It's a good point from chat. With only blue mail, one hug will do it. You know, in a race setting, you never want to do anything that's going to cost you time, but I might consider using that potion.
You know, I'm kind of right there with you. We'll see.
Goes for the nice double setup, but unfortunately too far away from Ganon to put it to use there. That's arrow number 2.
Meanwhile, finishes his Moldorm fight, or Fouton finishes his Moldorm fight. Janthegun does clutch it out. GG, Janthegun.
Yeah, just a nice patient Ganon fight, and Janthegun will walk through the door, finishing with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 4 seconds.
Yeah. I don't even know what that's a reference to. That was an incredibly close race, and Fouton does see the done at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think given all the technical issues that Jan was forced to deal with early on, you know, falling about 3 minutes behind at the very start, just a very, very well done race by him.
Absolutely. When your race starts out that way, you really have to be able to calm yourself down in order to be able to get through here. So GG Janthegun for being able to get through. We'll see if Jan is available for an interview afterwards.
Hey there.
Hey, and GG to Janthegun joining us. How you feeling after that?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I had problems with the emulator in the beginning and thought, oh my god, 3 minutes or something I lost because of that. And yeah, then I gambled sometimes with the tightened mids and the bow. That was very lucky, I think. And
yeah, I think kind of remarking on it, it might have been what decided the race here, because Fouton actually went to pod very early and basically full cleared it using the potion glitch. Luckily for you at the time, bow was your go mode item, so as soon as this bow locked, they saw you dip right out.
Yeah.
But the real bottleneck earlier was those boots. What were you thinking when you found those in Eastern Palace?
Yeah, I thought, okay, maybe my opponent got them about 30 minutes earlier than I got them, but yeah, I think he don't got them that early.
Well, and after that, you were kind of always looking for maybe a one of item. At one point, I mean, you dipped out of Thieves Town relatively early. You kind of got the first 4 and then left. At what point were you thinking at any point in time that, hey, I need to go back into Thieves Town? I might be missing something there, or did you leave and just commit to it?
Yeah, when I tried to get the bow, I thought, okay, maybe I should go for Thiefstone, but otherwise, when Fouton would have done Thiefstone, he would be way faster than me, so I decided to go to Turtle Rock and check before of that the Bombos tablet. And yeah. Because my plan was to go to the Bombos tablet and then go to Turtle Rock, if there isn't a bow. But yeah, it was like my first race I got restreamed because the bow was exactly in the same position, and we also hadn't the level 2 sword when we were there with the book, and hadn't the mirror, so yeah. And also, when I got to the Ganon's Tower, I thought, okay, I don't even know how I have to route this without the mirror, because I never had a seat without the mirror before.
Yeah, for sure. And the game kind of didn't give you much choice, not giving you the small key in that right side room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Turtle Rock was the thing we were wondering about for the longest time, especially when you went to the mire area and Bombos and Ice Rod were there. Did that give you a little bit of a scare when you saw those 2 items?
Yes, of course. I thought, okay, yeah, because I went. I think I went before I got to Mired to Hookshot Cave, and yeah, when I saw them, I was a little, yeah, I was frustrated, but in the end, it all was okay.
Absolutely. Well, so 3 and 2 now, still alive. Is that something you're thinking about much at this point, or are you just looking to go out there and have a good time?
No. I targeted about 3 wins, so I'm happy with them, and yeah, all other wins are only some kind of gift for me, present.
Well, GG to you, Janthegun. Do you have any other kind of final comments or closing thoughts as we're getting ready to wrap this up?
Yes, thank you for commentary. Thanks to the tracker, and yeah, thanks for restreaming our race.
Absolutely. Once again, want to thank both our runners. Give those guys a follow. Give them a look. They put on a fantastic performance for us here today. Of course, thank you to our restreamer Merc249, or excuse me, to our tracker, not our restreamer. But I do thank our restreaming team as well here at the Speed Gaming Network. Still a few more matches left today. Just starting over on Speed Gaming 2, we have The Lost Carol versus Ultimate Dave Live. And then starting up here in about 2 hours' time on Speed Gaming 3, we have Hyphenated versus In the Name of GT. That should be a fun one to watch. And as always, if you like what you saw here, give the Speed Gaming channels a follow. We also have a link to the past Randomizer channels as well. We'll be up to date on when those races are happening. But anyways, thank you, Vitasia, for the wonderful co-coms as always.
Oh, no, thank you, Jay Meisher. You are always a pleasure to work with. One of my favorite people to co-commentate with, man.
Thank you very much. But as always, folks, thank you, and hope to see you around for our races going forward for the next couple weeks in the Swiss stages. Have a great night.
Peace.